boom. So far we have 6 participants. Welcome everybody. Welcome Mike Liu. Welcome Ray, Shi, Hongmei, Kevin. Everyone's muted right now. I just want to, yes, do that. And we could get started. Let me just see what's going on with the Facebook to make sure that's up. And then we'll start talking about commercial real estate. Oh, it really does work. I see myself on Facebook. I feel like I'm on TV. Okay. Alrighty, so it is 10:34. We'll give it 1 more minute and we'll start at 10:35. And it is 10:35. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Michael Wang. Can you hear me, Hongmei? Okay, cool. My name is Michael Wang. I am the founding broker of a company called Project Queens. We specialize in commercial leasing in Queens. So retail, office, warehouse, and whatever all that entails. This is our first fundamentals of commercial real estate class. So we're going to go over the basics. Being that it's the first class and the first time we're doing this, we may have some technical difficulties. We're streaming onto Facebook. We're recording, and I'm going to upload it to our YouTube channel. So if you missed this, I will be able to put it back up. And as the series develops, it'll get more detailed and more in-depth, but we're starting from the basics. So the fundamentals of commercial real estate class 1. What I'm going to go over is the types of commercial real estate, and in more particularly, the types of commercial real estate that is predominantly found in Queens. After that, I'm going to go over a little bit of general theory of how to go about valuing this real estate, because the valuation of the real estate is really where everything comes from in your day-to-day activities. But first, I'm going to just start off with a little story, and I'm going to kind of do this every week to also give you a glimpse into the life of a real estate broker and random tidbits of what we encounter in our lives. Because aside from what we do day to day, as a broker, we kind of got to put together the left side and the right side and kind of merge them. And we encounter all types of different scenarios. Some days I'm in the office, some days I'm running around doing a showing, some days I'm doing paperwork, and there's just so much different aspects we encounter. Like today I'm doing a class, and we're gonna go from there. So I'm gonna move over into our little classroom over there, and people are calling me, so that's not gonna work during the Zoom class. And I'm going to join my own meeting while I move this over to the other side. So bear with me real quick. There's me. Cool. I'm going to Jesus. Hello? Can you hear me? All right. I got misquoted in a commercial real estate. I got misquoted in a newspaper, and this can affect my clients, my reputation, and is it working? Yeah. Okay. And so in my job, I do a lot of press and I do a lot of speaking, and unfortunately, and all of that always goes well. Everyone's always super nice, but I got totally misquoted in something, and I've been getting texts saying, "Hey, what's going on with this and that," and it's just a bummer because it can affect my clients, it could affect my reputation, and and um, and it doesn't feel good when you do something with good intentions and someone kind of flips it, right? So that's a little real estate story for today and something I encountered. And we're gonna go back to this backwards writing of honor because this is commercial real estate like 101, the basics. And aside from the valuation of real estate, honesty is as basic as it gets for this job, and probably just in every job. So anyway, I want to start off with the types of commercial real estate. And man, I really wish this wasn't backwards because I was going to write the types of stuff on the wall. Meeting settings. Boom, boom, boom. Give me 1 second. All right, so unfortunately for today, you're just gonna have to remember it and write it down. If there's something important that you need to write down, you can always play this back, watch it on the YouTube. So what are the types of commercial real estate? There's a couple of different types, right? Many of you who are watching may already have your real estate license and do residential real estate. Some of you may have done some commercial deals on the side. So what's the difference? Residential is when you go live in a house, and the technical definition is like 3-family house and under. A commercial real estate property is
retail, which is your ground floor stores. It could be lower level. It could be like second floor, your malls, places where you go to shop. Then you have office. Office is like office buildings where you go to your lawyer, accountant, and that kind of thing. Your doctor is also usually in an office unless it's on ground floor retail. Then you have industrial, which is like what a lot of people would refer to as warehouse. Warehouse is your distribution facilities, manufacturing facilities, storage facilities, and these are the types of properties that are really hot right now in 2020 with Amazon buying up tons of property and doing last mile logistics and things like that. And then you have what is very popular in Queens is land or development sites, which is the equivalent of land because it doesn't really matter what's on the current property. It's just going to be demolished and rebuilt. So that is what you typically encounter in Queens. Expanding onto that, there's hotels, and hotels is another different type of a very specific type, but also a very popular type of commercial real estate in Queens and in New York City. And then you can really expand that even more. When you go out of state, you see more of this stuff, but out in Queens, like very, very, very rarely see any of this. You have like student housing, you have like research facilities, data centers, I don't know, farms. Now I'm just going randomly off the top of my head. So we're not going to talk about those because the main types that you see in Queens, retail, office, warehouse, multifamily, residential. So I'm coming back to residential because even though these are properties where people live, the technical definition is a 4-family residence and up counts as commercial real estate. So that's a good segue into why does that count as commercial real estate? And this is coming back to the value. And I'm going to write this stuff on the board anyway, even though it's backwards on my phone, because maybe after this meeting ends, I'll find some way to switch it. And when I upload it, it's still there. So let's go with the value. And I'll write the other categories after too, now that I'm going to do it like this. So the reason why 4-family property is considered commercial real estate is because in my estimation, commercial real estate is really an investment. So when someone purchases a piece of land or a property or a building with the goal of parking their money somewhere as an investment, the same as you would take your money and put it in the stock market or into a business or into a savings account or a bunch of cash under your mattress. The reason to purchase the building is not to live in it. It's to put your money somewhere. And when people put their money somewhere, they want to see it grow. So when you think of properties in that way, someone that's buying a 4-family residential property usually is not going to live in there with their whole extended family. It's to rent it out, right? So however you go about purchasing or investing in a property, it's the thought process behind it is always, how much money do I have to lay out to purchase this property? How much money am I going to have to lay out every year to maintain this property? And what I'm going to get back for it, right? So you can say that so I'm gonna simplify this a bit because not everyone may be in real estate. If I put my money in a stock market and I put $1 million in there, then I want to see it grow, right? Maybe in the first year it goes to $1,100,000. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. If I put my money in a savings account where there's less risk, I put $1 million in there, maybe it makes me $20,000, $30,000 in interest. Yeah, that's great. So in the same sense, when you buy $1 million house, because we're in Queens in New York City, you know, the real estate value is quite expensive here. A 2-family house, 3-family house, 4-family house, whatever you buy, it's gonna be $1 million. So what you want to see with your investment is that you make some money back. And how much money do you want to make back? More than what you would make than if you put it in the bank. Because when I purchase a property, I need to maintain it. I need to put money in to maintain it. I have to like physically and mentally go maintain it by going up and picking up checks, handling problems, calling the plumbers, calling the contractors, paying for insurance, all this stuff. It's like a job. So if I can't even make enough money managing this property as I am by just throwing my money in a savings account, why would I do it? I'll just put it in the savings account. So in terms of value, if you want to make, if your house is $1 million, freestyling here, right? And the bank can give you, these days it's really low, but let's say the bank can give you like, I don't know, 3% interest, right? So times one, I don't know if you can see this, but we're gonna get better as we go. 3% interest on $1 million is $30,000, right? So you want to make at least $30,000. Now, what are some of the, so this is the bank. Circle this thing. So that's the bank. Now, what are some of the costs involved in purchasing a piece of real estate? You have the purchase price of $1 million. Then you have repairs. Anyone that's ever purchased a piece of real estate will tell you, whether it's residential or commercial, that right when they buy it, there's probably a bunch of repairs they got to do. Fix the heating system, fix the roof, go in and fix the lawn, repaint, right? And whether it's a residential home or a retail store or an office, there may be a bunch of things you need to do, right? After that, what's another big expense? Tax. So this is a big issue in our current election, right? Where we still aren't sure who's going to be the president because today is November 6th. Tax, why that keeps coming up as a big issue is because it's a big portion of the expense of any piece of real estate, whether it's retail, office, single family, multifamily, and this is a yearly expense. What else? Well, this being a real estate class, you have to pay commissions to brokers, which are expensive. You need to get insurance. And a whole host of other things. So when you purchase this house or this property, you need to calculate all the other things you're getting in, all the other things you need to pay for. Not only is it the one-time cost of maybe repairs is one time, like the big capital expenditures, but you also need to consider that these are, well, this one's like a one-time thing, but some of these are like monthlies or annual. And as we do this, we'll have slides that are much more better prepared, but I like to freestyle things anyway. I might even start rhyming right now. But monthly and annual payments on a residential, relatively to residential, would be like when you purchase a condo and you say, what's the condo fee every month? Or if you purchase into a homeowners association, like what's the HOA fee? You also ask, what's the tax, right? right now, the housing market in Nassau and stuff is super hot, and coming from Queens, those taxes look very high, you know? So you could buy $1 million home and your annual tax can be anywhere from 15,000 to, I see 25,000 now even, right? So, you know, when you take a buyer and they look at the home and they like it, you know, one of the first questions they ask is, what's the tax? And if it's over 20,000, they're like, damn, why is it so much? Nah, I don't want it. And if it's under 15,000, they're like, wow, that's a low tax. Let's go get it. So it's a big, 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 big deal, right? So these are costs. And I could go all day with costs, just randomly off the top of my head, because commercial real estate is like more volume of property usually, right? And it's not just like you're living there by yourself, kind of handymanning everything. You have to pay for maybe a super, right? Or a property manager. If you have a lot of real estate, you need to pay for an accountant. And these things are all need to take into consideration. So I'm gonna just put this up here for 2 seconds. You can always go back to it and freeze it. Maybe you have some better software than me that'll reverse it. But we'll go from there. Another hilarious thing I did right now is not buy an eraser. So give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So this is perfect because as a real estate broker, we really need to put everything together on the deal where two opposite sides really are battling for a better position in the deal. And we're in the middle like, hey, it's okay here, it's okay there, let's get it done. Everyone's happy at the end, most important. So I don't have an eraser. I use a wet paper towel, no problem. And in the world of real estate, you better be ready to improvise and do a lot of different things to fix your deal. You need to be ready to work with different personalities, and need to be ready to just do a lot of different things, you know? And the more you understand, the more you come to these classes, the more I can try my best to teach you something. You know, these markers that I got, the black one seems to be working very well, but the orange one doesn't even write, and the red one is harder to erase. Why is that? Probably because the black marker is made in a mass supply, and it's fresh from the factory, where these are sitting around for a long time because they're the off colors. So what the hell does that have to do with real estate? What that has to do is that in commercial real estate, part of understanding the real estate is not only understanding the basic terms and whatever you're going to learn from your broker licensing, that little tiny bit of commercial that's in there. You need to understand business, because when you're putting two business people together, if you're just doing the transaction, you're just transactional. And that service may be needed, but usually it's not. And what they really want to see is someone that understands business, someone understands personality, someone understands how these two different machines plug into each other, where not only can you do the transaction and put everyone together, but you can really have some real insight on a real estate angle of how to consult with this person, this buyer, this tenant that wants to move into this space, and consult with this landlord or this owner, this seller that wants to move this property and say, look, this is in real estate terms what makes sense here, why, this is why you should move in here. And the more you know about business, the more you know about real estate, the better you can do it. And the more honorable you are, the more business you get in the long run. So we went over expenses just now, right? Now, what's the other side of it? It's the making the $30,000, right? But in real estate, we want to make much more than $30,000 because I might as well just put it in the bank. So what is the income side of this equation? The expense had a lot, right? All these different things, I could have got into it more. The income side, it doesn't have much. rent. Okay. There's little tiny other things that might work in terms of a little bit of cash flow. You put a vending machine, collect some quarters from the washing machine. You put a satellite cable antenna on your thing, and they pay you monthly. But if not 100%, 95% of your income is coming from the rent, right? So what happens is, let's say you make, this is gonna be a messed up equation. Let's say you make $100,000 a year. Then you minus out your expenses. All right, this gets real simple. And let's say your expenses are $50,000 a year. What you're left with is $50,000. So I've obviously never taught a class before. So if everyone can read that, that's $50,000. So we're saying we purchased this house for this property for $1 million. Our rent is $100,000 a year gross, minus all those expenses that we just said, the tax, the insurance, the maintenance, all this stuff for $50K. We come back with $50K left at the end of the year, let's say. So we're talking annually here. That means with this property purchase, instead of putting this $1 million in the bank at $30K, if I do all this management and stuff, then I can make $50,000. So I'd rather do this. This is like as basic as it gets. And the real stable point of this discussion is that the bank will give you $30K no matter what. You could go to sleep. There could be nuclear war. FDIC ensures you getting your $30K. Now, when you purchase a property, this assumption is that my income at $100,000 is totally fixed, meaning my tenants are going to pay. They're not going to leave, right? Which is not necessarily going to be the case. And just a little caveat for people that want a little bit more complication. That's not the right word. A little bit more digging down deeper into it. How you manage the building and particularly how you do your credit checks and how you structure your leases will plus or minus the stability of that income line. Now, it also assumes your $50K expense is fixed. So your tax is fixed for the year until the assessor comes and bumps it up again. If someone leaves and actually lowers your 100K income, but now you have to lease it again and you have to hire a broker like myself, or in the future yourself, you have to pay what? A bunch of money to that broker. In residential, I think it's like a month or something like that. And in commercial, it's much different. It's much more. So this expense will go up again. Let's say your roof caves in. The water line bursts. That's more expense, more expense, more expense, right? So this assumes a lot of stability. So I'm going to put that up there real quick. And then we're going to go into now the different types of real estate, which I summarized in the beginning, but now with this base knowledge of income and expense, give you some like real world examples of how retail, office, warehouse, all that stuff works, right? So it is value. It is still valued, but I erased it. Obviously that's bothering me. So what we're gonna do now is go over the different scenarios. We'll call it not the summary, now really into the 101 of, we'll go retail. My favorite, by the way. I love retail leasing because there's brands you deal with, there's cool design in the construction, and I just love it. Retail. So the income, oh, I like these colors. All right, the income of retail is, guess what? Your rent. And the expense of it is tax. CAM, which is maintenance. I'm gonna block the camera real quick. Maintain. I'm not gonna write the whole maintenance because it doesn't fit, and I'm afraid I'm gonna spell it wrong. And utilities. Oh. Utilities. We'll just start with that because these are the main lease negotiation terms in not only the actual lease when the lawyers go crazy legalese, but in your offer letter. Now, the good thing about retail is they pay usually in the lease, the tenant's gonna pay a portion of the tax. What kind of portion of the tax is usually paid in retail? It's called the increase over the base year, which means if you leased it in 2020, whatever the tax is for the building, the owner, the landlord, is gonna pay the tax, that same 2020 amount the whole time. But every time the assessor comes and increases the tax, then the tenant's gonna pay that increase every year. So why would people do that? This goes back to our discussion of the income and expense and the stability of it all. If I can make sure the tenant pays the increase, then at the least I know exactly what my tax payment is, and I can project into the future what my income's gonna be without having this variable of the tax increasing an unknown amount because no one knows what the assessor's gonna do. The expenses, the CAM. A lot of the time, what the maintenance entails, at least for a retail lease, is nothing. So what do I mean by that? If there's nothing, why is there a CAM? The retail tenant usually takes care of their own space, but in Queens, in a lot of places, in a shopping mall, in a lot of the places you go to, that's not the only tenant in the building. The building is far larger than the one space, right? A lot of the time, if you're in a downtown area, like where I'm in Flushing, Queens, right? In downtown Flushing, these buildings go up. In Manhattan and Long Island City, the buildings are very tall. There's expenses that are involved with the general maintenance of the building, which includes the garbage, the sewage, paying the supers, the elevators, the bathrooms, things like that. A lot of the time, the retail tenant on the ground floor doesn't have to pay for the elevators and the upstairs bathrooms and like that, and there's different ways to calculate it, but you still have to pay for the super and things like that, right? So there's a CAM charge, which is maintenance. Utilities. The building has utilities, but the retail tenant's gonna pay a portion of it. Usually, that's a broad statement and very general, but usually, there's a direct meter for electricity. There could be a direct meter for gas. Water is usually like a shared in the same way. There's like it's shared with one meter and you kind of split up who pays what. And now, because the tenant pays for some of this stuff, the expense line drops on the retail a little bit in terms of these categories. But your calculation is the same. I'm going to buy this retail building. I get X amount of rent in. I have all these expenses. Any expenses that the tenant takes care of increases my bottom line. And at the end of the year, I make my $50,000, and I'm happier than I was than if I put it in a savings account. A little tidbit in here, just the same way there's a lot of things that can go wrong in real estate, which will lower your bottom line. There's a lot of things that can go right in real estate as well, like the market heating up and the market price generally going up. You can raise your rent. There is appreciation. So at the same time, let's say you bought it for $1 million and you could just kind of manage it for 10 years. Everyone's happy. You got a bank or a mom and pop or whoever, and they're doing their business. You're maintaining the building. And lo and behold, you go to the bank or you decide you want to move to Florida and you want to sell your property. 10 years later, now it's worth $2 million. So aside from your rent and expense, a beautiful, beautiful thing about real estate is appreciation. All right, so I'm going to check how much time we have left because I could go forever on this stuff. Okay, what time is it? 11:10. When did we start? 10:30? Okay, so I still have a little bit more time. I do want to leave some time for Q&A. So that's the retail expense line, right? Office is going to be very similar. So what I want to do is actually talk about warehouse real quick, industrial, because industrial is, as of November 2020, super hot. Quick market update. Retail is all right. Office is shot. No one knows what to do to go back because of coronavirus, right? COVID-19. Manhattan office rates, you'll see it in every newspaper, whether you do real estate or not. Only like 10% of office workers have gone back. So it's super hard to lease office space. But what do you hear that's hot, even if you're not in real estate? Industrial, last mile delivery, new logistics centers, Amazon buying up tons of stuff. Industrial is super duper 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 hot. So it's a perfect example right now to show you the difference in the lease types. Industrial, same thing on the income side. Income, rent, appreciation, great. The expense side is very interesting for industrial. My phone is blowing up. Sometimes you have something that's called a triple net lease, right? And we're gonna go like this. N. A triple net lease means one N for tax, one N for CAM, one N for utilities. That whoever you lease this property to, they will pay for everything. So I have a big warehouse in the middle of Maspeth, and Jeff Bezos needs faster delivery and wants to lease it from me. He's like, wanted to buy it from me, but I don't want to sell it. You can lease it though for 30 years. And he's like, I'll lease it for 30 years. You pay all the tax, not the increase, the whole thing, and the increases in the future. You pay all the maintenance. I don't have a super. I don't even go to the building. I have already retired to Florida. You handle it. And the utilities. All the meters, none of it's shared. I'm not even looking at it. You pay for everything. So what does that mean? On a pure triple net lease, which is like, not found very often. Even the most triple net leases are not always pure triple nets. It means you get all of your income rent. You do not even have to think about anything. So if you made 100K a year in this scenario, in the rent, and your expenses is 0, you still have 100. because you have no expense. Everything's being taken care of. The roof caves in, you go fix it. So when you're looking at the type of tenant you're getting, it's not only the market rent, but also how the lease is structured. And usually how the lease is structured is going to bear some semblance to what like the market is asking, right? So equating it to residential, which I still kind of know some, everyone is by the way, quick segue here, or inserts. I started out as a residential agent as well 8 years ago. I wanted to do commercial, but when you try to apply for commercial firms, they don't accept you. They want experience. So everyone that's doing residential, I hear it all the time. You don't know where to go. You don't know where to start. And when you go ask people, a lot of time they give you the textbook answers, and then first second you go out and try to do a deal, you're still just as confused as before you've tried to figure anything out. At Project Queens, we are the best. I am the best, I truly am. And I will explain to you in detail, not as an agent making money, but as a business person and as a human being and as a rational investor, how and why and how you want to do these deals. So back to whatever I was talking about. So there's a semblance to what the market is asking. And in terms of residential, it's almost like something like, is there a mortgage contingency? If you're going to the bank, yeah, of course there's a mortgage contingency. If there's no mortgage contingency, then I'm not going to risk my down payment to purchase this home. So if the owner or the seller of the property says, no, I don't want any mortgage contingencies no matter what, then guess what? A lot of people are not going to buy that home, right? So similarly, if I went to a retail tenant in the retail scenario and said, hey, you got to pay all the tax, CAM, utilities, and fix the roof if anything happens, they're going to be like, get out of here. You're insane. Why would I do that? Because that's not normal in retail. And there's reasons why. And if you keep listening to these, on the 100th lesson, I'll break down the nuances of why those things happen. If you're a hungry broker and want to join a company, then you actually hear me explain it. But anyway, those terms will not fly, right? And on the flip side, if you said on an industrial thing, look, you don't have to pay all this stuff. You just have to pay the increase. I'll maintain everything. You're building stuff there. You're using like flame blowers to make glass and stuff. I'll pay for all the gas. I'm the landlord. I'll pay for all the gas. The tenant's gonna be like, that's amazing. Sign me up. And then the landlord's gonna look at the lease like, are you crazy? I'm not signing this. So you have to meet somewhere, right? And both sides are gonna fight one way or another for their best interest. And it's not always a fight. That's not the right word. Sometimes it is a fight because everyone just wants the most for themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of the time, it's like people are happy to accommodate each other or happy to use whatever the market says, meet in the middle, So these are like the negotiations, and then that gets real nuanced, and we'll talk about that in like 3 years. Now, the other side of the income and the expense, which is very, very important in the negotiations, incredibly, incredibly important, is the guarantee and the security deposit, right? So guess what? As an owner, Hangmei is telling you something. It's okay. Okay, so I am being told that my time is running out. So I'm going to wrap this up on this point, and then we can do some Q&A. Your expenses are always going to be there. I guarantee you, no matter what happens. Next year, whoever owns this building, is going to get a letter from the IRS saying, pay your property tax. The utilities, if you turn them on, if the light goes on, I guarantee you Con Edison will not forget to send you that bill and keep sending you an email every month saying, your balance has increased by this much. Here's your exact usage. The maintenance, I guarantee you, Mother Nature will continue to spin the earth and rain and sleet and snow, and the roof of your building that's supposed to last 15 years will slowly start to deteriorate. I guarantee you, even if nobody is in the building, the next time you walk in, if it's been empty for 3 years, there are going to be cobwebs all over and little animals living inside. The income side is not as guaranteed, unfortunately. So people think being a building owner is such a glorious thing, and it could be. The same way if you're good at your job, at any job, you enjoy it and smooth and it works well. But if you do not know what you're doing, a real estate investment, right? Because it's not as stable as a savings account, just like the stock market, just like an investment in opening a business, can totally destroy you. Now, how do you guarantee a lease? All right, we're gonna wrap this up because I can go into the leases, I can go into everything I just said for 10 years. But Jeff Bezos leasing your warehouse for 20 years, triple net, and gives you a corporate guarantee from Amazon. He's like, Amazon, as long as we don't go out of business, you're getting this money. Check out my last year's tax statement. I made $1 trillion. That's good money right there. New York City says they want to open a school or a bus terminal backed by the city, MTA. You're probably good. Chase Bank, they say, I want to open another retail branch. Oh, in your neighborhood. Oh, I happen to own the corner property in the little neighborhood strip where all the stores are, where you get your tacos and Chinese food and stuff. Corporate guarantee from Chase Bank. They got $1 trillion fortress balance sheet. You are probably good. How much security deposit do I need? 0. I do not even need that. My money is good. On the other side, you lease it to some guy that just came out of nowhere, has no credentials, has no money in the bank, tells you his business plan, sounds ridiculous, but you want to lease your space. Come on and just lease it. There's a very, 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 very big chance that in a year or two, he says, hey, Michael, I'm really sorry, but the business didn't work out, and I can't pay, and I can't move out yet. And then your income dries up on this side, but your expenses keep rolling, right? So in the same way, when you're doing residential rentals or you're doing a residential sale and you want to check income, tax returns, the bank does a huge underwriting process. What's your credit? It's the same thing. Except in the commercial world, there's so much more different possibilities. Each segment, industrial, retail, office, has a different type of business. And there's just so much more to it. So like when you really want to do this well, it's not just the real estate. We could start with that. Then it's like how you handle business. And then how you handle really, really on the bigger layers, your relationships with people. You know, how you're able to conduct yourself and treat people. And on the highest level, I'm going to end with this, is your honor. Red and purple, because that's what kings used to wear. Your honor. There's a lot of ways to make money in real estate and in any job. I could be a car salesman, slippery car salesman. I can be, name your industry. I could be a priest, right? I could be a politician, leading our community. I could run a nonprofit. I could be a nurse, a doctor, an athlete. It does not matter that I'm a commercial real estate broker and I'm a sales agent, right? you can conduct yourself with some freaking honor and show your clients, particularly why in commercial real estate, because we're dealing with such expensive things, that you knowing what you're doing and doing the right thing for your clients and not for your pocket is something super duper duper important in the long run. And you can make money without it. Just don't come to my company. All right, so we're good with that. I'm going to now hop back to the other computer and see if there's any Q&A, and we'll take it from there. So I'm going to mute.
Okay. Can you hear me? Oh, hold on. No, but can you hear me on yours? Can you, turn on your volume. Okay, let's see if anyone. Let's see. I'm going to. First question from Mike Liu. I'm going to unmute everybody right now. And it says ask to unmute. So some technical stuff. Again, we are going to get there. Don't worry. Oh, no. Did I stop the. Wait. All right. Look, if anyone wants to ask a question, ask it in the box. We'll figure out the mute stuff later. I think Ray got unmuted. Anyway, Mike Liu says, there's echo now. Do I need to switch brokerage company to do commercial real estate with your company? That's a good question. If you want to work in-house with me, then yes, you have to switch over to Project Queens, and then you would be working in this office, and we would be going over deals in detail. We'd provide like marketing support and like just teach you what to do all the time. But if you don't want to work here, you can still do deals together with me. Agents do deals together all the time with each other. So if I have a listing, I need to fill it up with a tenant. If I have a tenant, then I need to bring them to a listing. And if you have one piece of that puzzle, then I'd be happy to work with you. Project Queens, we co-broke with everybody. If you have like a referral, I have referral partners for Manhattan and Brooklyn and New Jersey, where I don't do, because for my own business reasons, I only do Queens commercial leasing. Then we refer out, and that's another way to do business with each other. So short answer, if you want to like work here and really dig down and like be a Project Queens agent or broker and be part of this, then yeah, you have to work here. If not, then you would be another agent in a different company, and we will work together if the situation arises. No problem. Any other questions? Okay, so I don't think there are any other questions. I'm gonna post this up onto my YouTube channel, and then we'll take it from there. I'm gonna figure out what the next week is gonna be, and I'll post another Zoom thing, and feel free to join. Thank you everybody for joining. This was awesome.